Stephanie, Eric, Sewell, right now UMC is setting up their 4th patient tent outside. I'm not sure when they started setting up this tent, but I know it has been several hours. I was out here live at 6 o'clock, and if you remember, only a portion of that tent was covered. Now it looks like they have the entire tent covered, and they're taking stuff inside of that tent. The chief medical officer for UMC, Dr. Joel Hendricks, says this tent should be operational by today. Of course, all of this done to expand capacity for the hospital.
We have never come to this close to our capacity in all of El Paso.
El Paso hospitals being stretched thin as COVID hospitalizations continue to surge.
We think this next week will be a challenge.
University Medical Center adding its 4th patient tent outside to make more room. Chief Medical Officer Dr. Joel Hendricks says it can hold about 21 patients and will be used to triage patients before going into the emergency room.
It's a matter of how we are managing the patients down in our emergency room, how we're managing them up on our COVID floors, and we also have regular patients who need care that are non-COVID. So it is multifactorial.
Other area hospitals following suit. The Hospitals of Providence now putting up its first set of tents. Officials there say all 4 of the Providence campuses received state-issued tents. Some are in the process of being set up and others will be set up soon. Del Sol also putting up a tent. Officials saying it will be used to triage patients who require an inpatient admission until there is open space inside the hospital. They say it is able to support up to 14 inpatients, including critical care patients. And for even more support, the El Paso Convention Center being turned into a makeshift hospital. It will have 50 beds for non-COVID-19 patients and can expand to 100.
El Paso's never seen this.
In order to create even more room here at UMC, Dr. Joel Hendricks says they are converting some rooms into space for COVID-19 patients. Live in Central El Paso, Shelby Montgomery, ABC 7.
All right, Shelby, and extra perspective tonight. El Paso clearly in a crisis. City and county leaders are continuously saying it's on us to help out our community and take this pandemic seriously.
The Del Sol chief medical officer says he knows fatigue has set in, but this is having a tremendous impact on our healthcare workers.
And I get when people are tired of restrictions, they're tired of limitations, but think, like I've been sort of trying to tell people, that all the numbers, whether it's 1,300, 1,000, those are human beings. That fatigue, having physicians and nurses walk up to you and literally break down crying because it's tiresome and it's just painful to watch so much human tragedy and death.
Unless you've been in the hospital with a COVID or you're a healthcare worker, none of us really know what it's like inside those doors. This video that you're watching right now is from my tour of Del Sol back in July. Dr. Alozzi tells us it's hard to explain what it's like, but it's somewhere none of us, including our loved ones, would want to end up.
Walking through any COVID unit in the hospital it's sort of eerie. It's almost like one of those movies where you're all by yourself on this empty street and you're wondering whether the world is coming to an end. You walk through the hospital and there's nobody in the hospital because we don't allow visitors get into the hospital for their safety and for our team's safety. You go into the COVID unit and people would expect it to be like a movie where there's bells and whistles and a lot of chaos everywhere, but it's actually really quiet. The healthcare teams are doing their job.
Dr. Alozzi said there is no